In this Mosaic Pro Tip, we're going to be going through the Door and Drawer Fronts tab in the Settings tab. Now, in the previous video, we did set up a new template called Shaker Face Frame Inset-PG for paint grade. What we want to do here is I want to use a MDF door for these paint grade cabinets. Now, as you can see right now, the cabinet displayed is still a frameless cabinet. That'll all change as we work through this video series on how to set up the Settings tab. So what I'm going to do here, we have two door libraries that we can look at. We have the Mosaic door or the standard door library. I'm going to select these doors from the Mosaic door library. Now, what is displayed here right now currently is a flat panel square. I'm going to select this tab. It opens up my selector for the doors. As you can see, once you do this, the door that is currently selected will be highlighted blue. I'm going to scroll down and select a different door. I'm going to select the MDF flat panel square door. Now you can either double click on this door. By double clicking it, it'll bring up your routed door options because this is a routed door. And this will show you the panel tool group that is being used for this particular door, as well as your pocketing tool for the door. Select OK, and that brings that door in there. You can see your outside edge is going to use the cutout tool. The routed door tools right here, which is your panel tool group, is going to be selected, and then your pocketing tool. What you can do to verify all of this information is go to your Libraries tab, Doors. This opens up the door library. Now, you want to make sure your source library here is what you have selected in the door library. Let's find the MDF flat panel square right here. Now, if you look at the lower bottom left-hand corner, it says double click to edit a door. So I'm going to double click on this MDF flat panel square door. As you can see, there is our door. I can select the 3D viewer and take a look at this door itself to see how that looks. Now, over here on the right, you do have some options. You can, if you buy your doors from another company and you do have the optimizer, you can check the buyout door no cut list, and you will be able to have a listing of just the door sizes and not an actual cut list that goes to the optimizer. You can oversize the door for any additional sanding or sizing. You could bore hinges on the back of this door. One thing to bear in mind, if you are going to bore hinges on the back of an MDF door, you will have a flip side operation where one operation is going to carve out the panel of the door. The next operation is going to have to be flipped over on the CNC machine to cut out for the hinge cups. You can bore pulls, apply locks. That's mainly used on, let's say, a commercial job. When you check the apply beading right here, what this does, it applies beading for the center panel. So if I go to my 3D viewer with this applied, you can see that there's beading applied to that center panel. That is also assigned in your Settings tab. Make sure you check the beading tab here to set all of that up. You can apply the banding also. Now, if you're going to edge band your doors and drawer fronts, you would want to have this feature right here applied. What that'll do is you can set up an edge banding template, and you can deduct for the thickness of that banding if you need to, so your reveals on your cabinet stay and maintain the same size. So that's the information you're going to find on the door. If you go to your Settings tab, the profiles from there, you will see right here the routed door. You'll know you're in the routed door because it'll be highlighted up here in this tab. This first section right here for traditional doors applies to the traditional door, which is displayed over here. Miter doors, if you had a miter door, it would be displayed here, and these are your settings for it. This is for your routed door here. One thing to remember, that your routed door tools, when you select this opens up your panel tool group selector. You can see the Shaker 5/16 deep panel pocket is selected. Now, these tools here, tool 1 and tool 2, are all applied, it looks like, to the right side of that green line. That green line is the inside of your stile and rail. Now, the depth of these tools that are set up, the depth is set up on the optimizer side of Mosaic, and we'll get in that in another video, must match the depth of your pocketing tool. The pocketing tool depth is set right here with your panel recess. So I have all those set correctly. I'm going to select OK, and that door now has all the correct settings on it. So I'm going to bring that door into the wall panel, wall doors. The top drawer front, I'm going to bring in the flat panel. Now, a lot of people will use a reduced rail on their top drawer front. I'm going to bring in the standard flat panel drawer front here. And you will see here in just 1 second that is a reduced rail drawer front. I'm going to bring you back to the door library and explain why that is happening. Okay, I did not select the reduced rail on my top drawer. If we go back into the library's doors and I find that flat panel drawer here, the MDF flat panel drawer, double click on it. These are the settings for this drawer front. Down here at the bottom, I have a sizing condition on it. So if this drawer front is less than 8.5 inches tall, it's going to automatically replace with that MDF flat panel drawer reduced rail. What you'll want to do is, when you're going through the door library, please select your blue question mark to bring up that help document. As you can see, there are 15 pages here that you can print and review on how to set up and modify your door library. Extremely helpful information. Your pulls here are going to be for your display. I did not check the Bore for Pulls feature on these doors in the door library. You can adjust these pull positions by going to Libraries Hardware. Select the Pulls category. This top information right here is for the sizing of the pull itself. The placement of the pull on the door, whether it be a base or a top door, will be selected here. This goes from the top or bottom of the door and goes to the center of the pull, not your first hole. So remember that. Your distance from the edge of the door is set up right here from the edge. When I set up these doors, they were set at 2.5, so I'm going to change this to 1.25 inches so that pull is visually exactly in the center of that stile. Now, over here on the right, you will see some drilling information. Even though there's drilling information here, I'm going to drill a 5mm hole, and the hole separation is from center to center right there. Even though I have this information here on this pull, that drilling is not going to take place because I did not check the drilling feature on this particular door. Let's go back and take a look at it. Right here, Bore for Pulls is not checked. So even though that information is assigned in the handle, if you do not have this feature right here checked for this drawer front, it's not going to drill those holes for you. Your base hinge and your wall hinge and your locks are set up down here for the door and drawer fronts. Once again, to review those, go to your Libraries Hardware. Let's go to the Hinge tab. Now, sometimes when you're looking at hardware, it's easier to look at this information in millimeters. Switch it back and forth down here either way. This is the distance the system plate is going to be drilled from the front of the cabinet, 37 millimeters, and my system screws are going to be 32 millimeters apart. You will definitely want to set up the center line for this hinge. The center line is adjusted from this bottom number right here. This goes from the bottom or top of the door to your first system screw, not to the center of the hinge. So if you look at that, 85.6, you know this distance is 32 millimeters apart. So half of that distance is 16 millimeters. You add 16 millimeters to 85.6, that measurement turns out to 101.6 to the center of your cup, which is 4 inches. When you select drill up here, this is the information that will be bored on the back of the door for that particular hinge. You need to make sure you review that if you are drilling this hardware on your machine. Bring your base hinge in and your wall hinge in. If you are going to have locks added to your door drawer fronts, please go to the libraries hardware once again. Go to the locks category this time. This is where you can select a lock, select the position of the lock for the drawer fronts, left or right drawers, top or bottom, etc. Please make sure you select the blue question mark. Once we get done through all these different categories here, we will save this at the end of this video series, so when you start a new job, this template will automatically apply.